ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
We welcome you to this Friday edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, and we open that up at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Coming up today on the program, John Mercer joins us, head coach of the Marshall tennis team. His squad taking on Texas State. That's coming up tomorrow. It's also Senior Day, so we'll talk to John about his squad, what we can expect as the Herd still in the chase right now. Fourth in league standings against Texas State, which is third. Marshall's 5-3, 17-4 overall. This has been a tough league so far, and Marshall's fared well. Texas State is third, 6-2 overall. So this one should be a fun, competitive match. John talks to us about 5:30 about everything that is happening, including Senior Day for his 4 seniors. So looking forward to that. We've got a busy day tomorrow as well. Not only do we have tennis, we're going to have baseball, we're going to have softball. Now, softball's on the road taking on South Alabama, but baseball is happening. We start today and then tomorrow, and that'll be after the spring game, and then on Sunday. Now, I do want to remind you, Saturday will be the Saturday Showcase game, and we carry Marshall home baseball games every Saturday right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So if you are going to the spring game and you can't make it to the baseball game afterwards, of course, take us along. You can either listen in the car or listen on the stream. Just download the app, and you can get that. It's really easy. The best place to go get that, if you're not sure where to find it, is go to WRVC.com. We've got the link that'll take you to the store if you've got an iPhone or an Android device, so we've got you covered there. But baseball tomorrow, but it starts tonight. And, of course, Spring League Championship, College Spring League. Saturday night, historic Crew Stadium is going to be the Thundering Herd at 7:30, taking on Michigan State. Chris Grassi and his squad looking strong yet again, of course, off that national championship run. It came so close. So I expect big things for the Thundering Herd this upcoming season, but it would be nice to have a little momentum, and that includes winning the College Spring League Championship against Michigan State. I'm curious how many of you are making that trip, heading up to Columbus tomorrow, opting out of the spring game, but instead to go support the Thundering Herd on the pitch. You can text that in now. And again, that's 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. There's a lot to get into with the spring game. Of course, after we see what the team looks like tomorrow, I think the big takeaway yesterday when we heard Coach Gibson and his thoughts on the game was retention. That's going to be the next challenge. How many guys can you retain after the spring game? That's going to be the first question. How many guys do you want to retain after the spring game? That's going to be the second question, because we'll eventually get the settlement. And roster limits are coming. How soon will we have to see Marshall and the rest of college football drop down to that 105 limit? And, of course, Marshall, with the budget approved, there are plans in place, 85 scholarships. The rest will be tuition waivers from the university, so that will be covered. But there will be roster changes coming soon. So at what point will you start to see those roster cuts? Is it a wait and see? Is this going to be phased out, this current roster limit to the new number? Is it going to be sudden? I know WVU and Rich Rodriguez sort of making that decision now, being a little proactive. Hopefully the Thundering Herd, knowing that this is coming, can be a little proactive as well, but you hate it because there are going to be a lot of players that won't have roster spots, some good, some bad. It'll be disappointing for some, but at the same time, with the flexibility that has been afforded college athletes to go wherever they may go, I think college head coaches should have that same flexibility to immediately say, look, we don't have a spot for you. And you can change those rosters out every year if you deem it necessary. And I think that's where we're getting to at this point. So a lot to talk about after the spring game. My question to you is, how excited can you get for the spring game, knowing that the real roster, and I don't mean the entire roster is going to change, but the real roster, the roster that you're going to play with, is going to be set sometime after the spring game, a little bit before the first game. That's the real roster. That's the final roster. That's probably the better term, the final roster. So how excited are you for Saturday, for the opportunity to see the football team? Not the tailgating, not the socializing, not hanging out with your friends, not going out and wearing your green and white, none of the ancillary stuff, none of the secondary things. It's just Marshall football on the football field. How excited are you? And is this a great starting point for you to start getting interested in the season again? Or do you still wait and see? And this is going to be your first evaluation, not only of the players that Marshall has assembled for the roster, but this will be your first evaluation of what the team looks like, the coaching staff, how the coaching staff handles the team. I'm honestly confident that it's going to be fine. I have no concerns whatsoever about how this coaching staff and how this athletic department has handled this transition. But I'm sure there are some that are still questioning, all right, let's wait and see because of the transfer portal. And the transfer portal has definitely put a damper on what college athletics has been. So has it changed it for you? That's our question. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. You can also find me on X. You can follow along at Paul Swann. Still to come, we're going to hear from John Mercer, head coach of the Marshall tennis team, as the Herd getting set for Texas State. That is coming up tomorrow. That's a great way to start your day. Then you can head over to the spring game, and then if you've got the time, you can head over to baseball. And if you can't catch baseball live, we've got you covered with our Saturday showcase right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. But this is a great time to start getting your text in. It's a Friday. Let's go wild. That's right. No text unanswered. Whatever it is, I will answer it to the best of my ability as long as I can protect my job and the radio station's FCC license. I will answer those questions. One more time, brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Thanks for being a part of today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talk Line, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Welcome back to our Friday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter checking in saying, Paul, I'm attending my first baseball game at Marshall's new field Tuesday for a WVU game. Super excited. Is parking an issue by the stadium? Any tips? I appreciate it. I will tell you honestly, I park by the football stadium. I do not want a ball hitting my vehicle. And funny story, Christian Palmer, who does the Saturday games for us, he got hit recently, and that just swore me off of parking anywhere near the baseball stadium. So I park, if you're able to, if you're physically capable. And now there's some lots that are around the stadium, and I think those spots are probably all paid up already. But if you can find one of those spots, go ahead. But I usually park at the football stadium for the games, and I just walk on over. Your mileage may vary. It's not that long of a walk, and honestly, I would rather not get a dinger because there have been occasions where one has gone over, and I do know a couple of people that have had their vehicles hit by a foul ball. So that's my tip to you. Park at the football stadium if you can. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, though. It's not that far of a walk, maybe just like a couple minutes. So congratulations. Good game to pick to come see the Herd take on West Virginia. That should be an exciting game. The Mountaineers and the Herd, last time the two teams got together, it was really a fun one last year at Jack Cook Field. Of course, the Mountaineers got the better of the Herd earlier this season, so we'll see if Marshall can return the favor. Text 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. And it's free, by the way. That's the other thing that I want to remind you about that parking. It is free at the football stadium. That's usually where I park. And if you're able to walk it, go ahead, take that option, and it's a couple more minutes walking time. If you're getting there early, and honestly, on Tuesday, I would recommend everyone getting there as soon as you can, because I'm pretty confident that there will be a nice crowd for that game. Always is. There are a lot of people that their one game a year is to go watch the Mountaineers play in Huntington against the Thundering Herd. And so you'll see a nice mix of people wearing both green and white and blue and gold. But it'll be fun. And it's just one of those games that I think is evidence that those two schools, even though can't seem to get along in football, can't seem to get along in basketball, the two schools should get together. And honestly, Marshall playing in Morgantown gives Herd fans a little closer to Morgantown the opportunity to go see the Herd play. Even though it is against the Mountaineers, it's still an opportunity. And for Mountaineer fans that are a little closer to Huntington, maybe can't make it up to Morgantown, but would like to see the Mountaineers play, there's the opportunity there. I'm all for that. Of course, I'm going to get a couple of texts. I'm just going ahead and speaking that into existence now. I know that's going to be the case. The whole it's not good for the state argument, and I will argue that there's an opportunity to make it good for everybody. If you can just get the egos to kind of be pushed aside, you can play this game in football. You just got to come to some agreement and make an understanding that, yes, Marshall is not in the Power Four, and so you can make an allowance for an in-state school. If you have to do a 2-for-1, that's fine. I personally, I don't think that the administrations want to play this game. Or if they do, each administration has its own terms. So I don't think you're going to see, and this is anywhere, I don't think you're going to see the home-for-home series. And I would beg to differ with anyone that thinks that you can get that in this day and age, especially with the consolidation of the power leagues and the way NIL is going and everything else. And you have to maximize your revenue opportunities, and you get more money at home if you're a school like West Virginia. You make more money at home than you do on the road. And so that's probably part of what that administration is looking at. Hey, look, we're a Power 4 school. You're a Sun Belt school. We make more money here. We'd love to have you. I know Bob Huggins said it a few years ago. Hey, we would love to play the Thundering Herd. We've got this wonderful arena that they can come play in. And I get it. It's positioning is what that is. The finances, maybe that's something you can honestly have an honest conversation about, but it's positioning. But still a fun game. And I'm glad the baseball programs actually get together and get along. And same thing with soccer, even though Marshall and WVU are in the same conference. I'm glad that tennis gets along. I'm glad that soccer gets along. I'm glad that baseball gets along. I'm glad that the sports that do compete against each other get along. And I think it's been beneficial. It's been beneficial for tennis. It's been beneficial for baseball. It's been beneficial for soccer, even though that is a conference matchup. But still, Marshall helped WVU get in the league and welcomed WVU in the league as well. So, hey, again, to our original texter, I'm glad that you're getting to go see the game on Tuesday. Should be fun. I hope you have a great time at Jack Cook. And I'll tell you what, remind me later on, we'll get you into a Cold Cats game as well. I'll do that. I know a guy. I can get you a ticket for that. So we'll get you inside a Cold Cats game a little bit later on. Just let me know if you want to go, and I've got your information. I got your number, so I'll know it's you. You know what? We're going to give away some Cold Cat tickets this year as well. And coming up next week, I've got some Pittsburgh Pirates tickets to start giving away. I've got a ticket or two for the game on Sunday. Now, Easter Sunday, I get it. But if you want to go and celebrate Easter Sunday at the ballpark, I've got you tickets. So we'll do that next week. But until then, our text line still open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I guess I'm assuming there are going to be a lot of people that are coming in for the spring game that will also head over to baseball for the first time on Saturday. Not necessarily the game on Tuesday, but I've got to imagine that there'll be a few people that will be coming in. So if you're listening and you're coming in for the spring game and you haven't been to the baseball game yet, let me know. And you can hit that text number one more time, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Plus, hey, it's App State on Saturday. A win over the App State Mountaineers means just as much, and of course, more than a win over the West Virginia Mountaineers. It's conference action here as the Herd back over 500, 17-16, 5-7 in Sun Belt play. And right now, I'll take that. Taking on App State starting tonight, 6 o'clock at Jack Cook Field. The App State Mountaineers, got to clarify that, coming into this 17-15, and they are 7-5 in league play. The good news for Marshall, a little momentum, beating Ohio in Athens Wednesday night 10-5. The Sun Belt Conference Pitcher of the Week, Clint Moak, Sunday's probable starter. I think Griffin Miller is going to be your probable starter on Saturday. Bryce Blevins is probably starting tonight. So you're going to have three outstanding pitchers, Bryce Blevins, Clint Moak, and Griffin Miller, all starting this weekend. Who do you save for the game on Tuesday? That's the big question. Who would you like to see the Herd put out there on Tuesday? You think, I'm going to say Blevins. I'm thinking you start Blevins on Tuesday. We'll see. We'll see what Coach has in store. This should be a fun one. Of course, 6 o'clock coming up tonight, and that's over at Jack Cook Field for those of you heading over right now. Thanks for taking us along with you. And then, of course, Saturday, it's a 5 o'clock game, and if you can't make it, and if you're going to the spring game, don't forget, lock your radio right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930, and we'll have that game for you on our stream as well. Just download the app, head over to WRVC.com, and you can stream the game. When we continue, we're going to talk to the man in charge of the Marshall tennis team, John Mercer. He's with us when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue on with our Friday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Coming up tomorrow, Marshall tennis in action. It's going to be senior day as the Herd will play host to Texas State. And to tell us more about the matchup and what we can expect is the head coach of the Marshall tennis team, John Mercer. Good to talk to you again, sir. How have you been?
Oh, good. We've been playing a lot of tennis, so that's always a good thing.
You've been doing pretty good as of late. What are you like, up to 4 or 5 game win streak now? I think it's 4, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. We got a couple more here, so we got to finish strong. See what we can do.
You're 4th place right now in the standings, and when I say that, it's like 1 game separation between everybody except Old Dominion. They've been rock solid, but everybody else is so close. It's been very competitive. So this is an important matchup because you're just one game behind Texas State.
Right, yeah. So if we win our last two, we'll finish third, more than likely. So we'd like to do that so we can hopefully have that 3 seed in the tournament. And, hopefully get some rematches against some close matches that we lost this year. So we really enjoy having the opportunity to do that.
You feel confident that this team is in that mindset that we deserve a rematch, we know we're better? Is that the kind of confidence that you've been seeing from this team?
Yeah, I think that they, since we lost that one match to App State, the mentality has been pretty workmanlike. So, and we've played some good teams since then and have done, really well, played pretty clean matches. And so I think we're, kind of focusing in and hopefully kind of getting into a little bit of a zone in regards to our games and, that determination and fights getting better. So, the App State, for me, it was kind of a weird match. We won the doubles point. We literally, 5 of the 6 matches, we were up either 5-0 or 4-1 in the first set. And I've never seen that happen before. It's just kind of like we lost our focus, and I don't know, it was almost going too easy, I guess. And next thing you knew, we were in a dogfight and didn't come out on top. So we need to finish the job the next time we get it done, but we got to get there first. So we got to get these next 2, play Texas State tomorrow at home. You get that one, and then Georgia State on the road, and then the first round match is going to be a tough match, the quarterfinal. So right now you have the 14 teams in the Sun Belt. You have 11 of them that are top 112 in the country. So there's a lot of depth. It's a really good tennis conference being in the South, and so even getting out of the first round, the 7 through 10 seeds are going to be tough matches, and then whoever is the 2 seed and so on, it's going to be, really, they're all going to be tough. So very competitive, and just looking forward to that opportunity. Hopefully, we get these next 2 and really get engaged in the tournament. So see what we can do.
I've meant to ask you, since the quality of this league has been outstanding over the last few years, how has that helped you attract the very best you can bring to Marshall University? Have you seen an upswing in what you're able to do, or the players you're able to attract?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps. I mean, it definitely helps playing the conference schedule. It definitely helps that the travel is in the South. We've always been able to attract some pretty good Power 4 teams to play. And so it just, it kind of goes in waves. If you're in the business long enough, it's really hard to be a Duke and be Mike Krzyzewski and be top 10 in the country 25 years in a row. But, we have our years where we're really good. This is definitely one of them. We're 17-4 right now. Could easily have been 19-2, but, I think that, does it attract players? Sure. It definitely does. Just the higher your rankings go, the better players you're going to hear from, and the recruiting agents that are out there, they're going to contact you more often. And, hopefully, given our past reputation, we can keep getting in some pretty good recruits.
John Mercer is with us, head coach of the Marshall tennis team, the Thundering Herd, number 68 in the land, taking out, hopefully tomorrow, Texas State. Senior Day. First up, let's talk about your 4 seniors that you'll be honoring and what they've meant to the program. Where do you pick to start? Where do you go first?
Well, we can start with Kylie, go alphabetically.
Smart. That's a smart decision on your part.
How about that? So, yeah, Kylie, local player, came in here and, has done exactly what we've asked her to do. She's been very involved with the team over the years. Actually, our Miss Marshall, right? So, she garnered that award in the fall. But, she came in and really, a lot of her role has been, besides playing, a lot of matches in the fall and the tournaments and stuff, has really been, working with all of our players to come in and kind of get them involved in the community and, just give them a flavor and meet people and know, who they're trying to entertain and play for here. And she's done an outstanding job doing that. She's just been very involved in everything. And has really made, the kids that have come from outside the West Virginia area very welcome. She has great relationships with all of them. They all love her dearly. And, what more can you say? If your teammates love you, that's a great thing to say. So that's all you can ask for.
With Kylie being the hometown girl,
Mm-hmm.
how hard is that to really attract the very best in the state? If you're Kylie, that's what you're going after. You're among the best in the state, and it's like finding a diamond in a rough. Is that fair? When you try to attract the very best, and at the same time you're trying to get the very best in the state, and sometimes, there is a discrepancy there.
Right.
They're good tennis players everywhere, but you're trying to get the very best you can to play Division I tennis, and she has seemed to be the model for that, at least for local kids, and she's waved the banner proudly.
Right, yeah. Well, that's what we want. We want all of our local kids. We have a lot of local kids that go on to play college tennis. The decision comes, what do you want your role to be in college tennis? Based on what your level is. I mean, there's fantastic Division III tennis. I mean, Division II and Division I. I mean, at all levels. And we have players from this area that go out and play and, play all those levels. I mean, we've probably had, over the last 10 years, probably 30, 35 players playing college tennis, probably averaging about 3 a year coming out. And, here, being in the Sun Belt and being, a good, top, our goal is to be a top 50 national team, if not a top 25 team, of course. You're talking a very high level. So, it really depends on the student athlete. If they can play that level, we're always out there recruiting them to come here. Sometimes you have players that want to come here and, want to have a role on the team, like a Kylie's role. And, it doesn't always involve playing every single match, for the team. But, there's a role, and, if this is where they want to be, then this is where they want to be. So, we try to give them that opportunity. Now, of course, the roster limits that are coming up, that's going to cause some issues. But, we'll work through it. And, I'm sure we'll always have, a local influence, with our program.
Hold that for a second on roster limits. I want to circle back to that, but I don't want to leave out the rest of your seniors. We start with you recruiting in the United Kingdom, and you get an outstanding player. And, when you look at her name, I've had to learn this over the years. It's to me, I look at it, it's Sophia, but she doesn't say Sophia. It's Sophia Hurrian. She says it different than it looks to me. I know that's always been a challenge for everyone because you have such an international roster. But, she coming from the United Kingdom, she's probably that template you're looking for as well when it comes to going after international players.
Yeah, she had a pretty good, pretty strong record coming out of England, which is, what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody that can come in and contribute. I mean, it was a little rocky in the beginning. She kind of had some health issues after she came in that were undiagnosed, and, she fought through them, had a lot of issues taken care of over the following summer of freshman year, but really started to settle in, and every year has improved because of that. So, we saw a lot of potential in her that she could keep improving. And, the level has gotten so high in college tennis, even when you're recruiting top international players or top American players, they have to improve when they get to school. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind. So, I think, just kind of flash back, like I've talked to you before, and we had that win over Wake Forest. He's got a lot of top American players on that team. However, a lot of those players are sophomores and freshmen. And we had, a good core of seniors on our team and a junior. And our players, they weren't as highly rated as probably those players that went into Wake Forest when they were younger, but they kept improving over the years and worked really hard at it and stayed with the program and, what we're trying to do. And, we're able to secure a win like that, at a very high level. So Sophia, she's kind of the same deal. I mean, she just, worked her tail end off to keep getting better, and she loves playing, which makes a huge difference in everything that you do. But, she wants to be competitive, and she loves being competitive. And, She's been a great addition to the team. So can't ask for more. She did win at the Marshall, the Marcus the other night. She won Comeback Athlete of the Year. So that was really exciting and very well deserved for her.
John Mercer, my guest, the Marshall tennis coach, racking up awards in every way possible. And, I don't know, how you try to put your double teams together, but, I'm sure you're looking for chemistry. So when you paired Sophia and Osling together, was it because they had that similar background, Osling coming from England, Sophia, from the United Kingdom, were you looking for the chemistry there between them with similar backgrounds, or did it just work out that those two got along, though they worked together and it made sense as a pairing?
Yeah, it has more to do with style play. So there's certain things that Sophia does really well that then Ashling can feed off of, and it works vice versa the other way. There's certain things that Ashling does really well that Sophia can feed off of. And, you're trying to work with those strengths so that, kind of the team gets better than the individual two parts, right? So, it really has to do more with game styles and trying to keep them out of maybe there's things that they don't do as well that you can kind of cover up and then hopefully take advantage of their strengths. And it just works out that their strengths both kind of fit right into each other, and as a result, you get a lot of wins. They've been conference players of the year, I think second team or first team last year in doubles, but, they're both sophomore and juniors. They were all conference. So, they're a really good team and they work well together. And, if you want to see some power doubles, come watch them play. They hit the ball hard.
Speaking of power doubles and just power in period, Emma Vanderheyden, out of Belgium, how do you replace her? What's she meant to you?
She's been great. She came in and played one her freshman year, has played two ever since. She was a great recruit for us. Was getting recruited by a lot of Power 5 teams, and she was kind of that key player that we needed when we really needed somebody like that. We were kind of in a transition with the program, and we really needed somebody who could come in and play in the top one or two spots and hold that anchor down for, 4 years. And, she's done that. It's tough. It's tough playing up there. There's never an easy day. A lot of teams have players at that level. So you just got to try to win as many matches as you can at that level. 1 and 2, then hopefully you have enough depth to kind of figure out how to win, pick up another couple matches in order to secure some wins in matches. But she's just been, really steady and important, and has just picked up a lot of huge victories for us, both on the singles court and the doubles court. And she just has a great attitude. It's been great to watch her grow over the 4 years. This year has been her best year by far. And she's just been positive every day. Every day she comes to practice, and she just has a smile on her face and is really enjoying it. And that's what you really hope for out of your seniors. Their senior year. You hope that they embrace it, try to take advantage of it, and I think that's what she's really done. So kudos to her, and just really proud of her and what she's been able to accomplish.
John Mercer, my guest, head coach of the Marshall tennis team. It is senior day, also an important day as Marshall looking for a better spot in seeding, taking on third-ranked Texas State in Sun Belt play. Of course, 10 a.m. on Saturday in Barboursville. Since it is senior day and you have a lot of international students, I've always wondered, do you have to explain it to them initially what senior day is about? Does that translate? Is that more of an American thing? Senior day, you walk out there with your parents and, of course, or a representative. Does that play out a little different year to year with international players for you?
A little bit. They get to see it their freshman year. So by their senior year, they're always really excited about it. We'll have a senior dinner and we have a banquet here at the end of the year. If anybody wants to attend, they can just go on the website and sign up. I think Rocco's is hosting it for us again this year. Last year we had a huge crowd, humongous. But yeah, I mean, they get it. They love it. I mean, they love every minute of it. So I don't know. They like all the attention, I guess. But their parents are in town, and so they haven't seen them all semester, since Christmas break. So, a lot of them came in yesterday and this morning, and so they were really excited to practice to see their parents. And yeah, I mean, I think they've got the gist of it at this point. So, we get to our banquet and they all give a little speech, and it gets quite emotional from their standpoint. And you really find out how much it's really a lot of fun, because you really find out what, Marshall and the community in general, how big an impact that has had on them as young people, and how much they appreciate it. And it's truly amazing. I mean, these student athletes, how much they really do embrace it, and how appreciative they really are of everything that everybody here has to offer them. And that's when you really get to hear it, when they get that opportunity to speak and kind of talk about their careers and everything that's gone on. So, and that's, why we have a lot of people all over the world that follow Marshall sports now. We've put a lot of these international student athletes back out there, along with our domestic kids. And, we have kids in Texas and out in California and so on. And they write me, and, they're all out there pushing it, wearing their Marshall stuff. And it's really cool. So, I like to think we've made an impact all around the world. So the herd is everywhere.
John Mercer is with me, head coach of the Marshall tennis team. Tomorrow, Texas State, the opponent for Senior Day. Now, before I let you go, you mentioned roster limits early. You're going to gain in some ways. It goes from 8 to 10. Am I understanding that correctly? And, of course, with the new proposal, there's going to be scholarships for everyone. You have roster limits, unlimited scholarships, but roster limits. Initially, what are your thoughts on how this is being handled, how that helps you, or is there an impact that maybe is detrimental? What are you seeing here across the board, or what are you hearing?
So we've always had an unlimited roster number. So tennis will be going to 10. This year, obviously, we had 11 on our team. We have 8 players that we were able to give scholarships to. Now we'll have 10. It's just that part of those are, we won't be carrying as many full scholarships. So it's kind of a weird situation from that standpoint. But, we'll at least be able to have 10. And, we'll just kind of have to go from there and see what we can do. And hopefully it works out. I don't know. Things are still up in the air, as far as I know they're still in this thing talking about maybe grandfathering in the roster limit stuff, but I don't know what exactly or how exactly that's going to work out. So, we'll just have to kind of see what happens.
So we go from 8 to 10 as far as the scholarship is concerned.
Yeah, you're allowed to have 10 now. Okay,
allowed to have 10 on scholarship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Because these numbers are so fluctuating right now. Football 105, right. And obviously some of the other sports are going to be impacted as well.
That doesn't necessarily mean that we'll have 10 though.
Okay.
You're allowed to have 10.
So you can have 10 scholarship roster spots. You could possibly have 10 roster spots. You could have 11 roster spots, if I understand that correct.
Well, no, it's going to be 10.
It's going to be, okay, so it is going to be locked at 10 for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so there's an opportunity and probably a disadvantage at the same time with these changes until everyone adjusts.
Right, yeah. So it really is just, depends on each athletic department, how they want to, where they want to go with it. Do they want to increase it, or do they want to decrease it, or, what do they want to do with it?
Okay.
The NCAA is just saying you can have 10. I know, so for instance, I'll give you an SEC example. Women's tennis in the SEC is going to 10 because that's the rules. University of Kentucky is going to 10 full scholarships. The men's team at the University of Kentucky, the SEC voted to only go to 9, which is absolutely crazy. Not to hold back on that, given the injuries and everything everything, just the demands of the sport. But they're going to 9. Previously, men's tennis was at 4.5, and I know Kentucky is upping their men's to 5.5. So they're increasing their. So they aren't going to have 9 players on scholarship. They just still have partials, basically.
Okay.
But and I don't know. They could be taking their baseball team and going to the full limit of scholarship. It depends on what schools want to do.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Still trying to.
Yeah,
still trying to iron it all out. So.
Yeah. No, I do appreciate you. Appreciate you. Making sure that I have the right info and that we know what we're talking about at any given time.
Sure.
John Mercer, my guest, head coach of the tennis team. Good luck. Congratulations. Another outstanding season so far, and final push coming up, and then we'll be talking about the tournament soon. Yeah, awesome. All right, well, thanks for calling. Appreciate it, Paul. And appreciate the time you give us on the radio. That's great. Tomorrow morning, the senior awards are at 9:30. And then we're playing indoors at the 7827 Tennis Club out in Barbersville, across from the Walmart on top of the hill. So if anyone wants to come out, 9:30 is the awards, and the match starts at 10. All right. John Mercer, my guest. Thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Go hard. There you have it. Quick timeout. We wrap it up on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
Thanks for being a part of today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. A little long with John Mercer, but it was worth it to talk to him, the head coach of the tennis team. So we appreciate him for being with us. And with that said, we are out of time. Spring game tomorrow, Jones C. Edwards Stadium. We've got Marshall baseball coming up, our Saturday showcase as well. We'll get a chance, hopefully, to talk a little more about draft coming up. J.J. Roberts is going to be visiting the Cincinnati Bengals next week, so hopefully we'll get a little news out of Cincinnati about how well that went. Thanks to my guest, John Mercer, head coach of the Marshall tennis team. Always a pleasure to talk to him. I'll be back with you on Monday right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC, W231BS Huntington.